Ophelia wiped her brow with a towel as Beta Kenneth walked up to her. Good work today, Ophelia. You're improving. Just remember to stay aware of your surroundings and evade attacks quicker. He smiled encouragingly. Though worn out, Ophelia returned the smile. Thank you. You're a great teacher. You've done enough for one day. Go get some rest. Tomorrow is the Olive Branch Festival, and as the future Luna, you'll be helping my daughter with the final preparations. Beta Kenneth dismissed her with a wave, then wiped the sweat from his own face and walked away. Leaving the training center, Ophelia felt a tired but deep satisfaction, her spirits lifted by his words. She ran a hand through her light brown curls and enjoyed the feel of the breeze rustling the trees on her way home. Ophelia Allen was born an Omega, blessed with striking brown hair and gray eyes, yet labeled as delicate and vulnerable. Her parents, who had loved her unconditionally, passed away when she was 14, during a time when rogue wolves troubled all the packs of the evergreen wilds. At times, Ophelia still felt their absence deeply, longing to hear their voices echo through the family home once more. But her pack had honored them well. At their funeral, Alpha Brian had consoled her, saying they died protecting both their beloved daughter and the Silver Arrow Pack, a sacrifice that spoke of ultimate loyalty and courage. To give one's life for the pack was the highest honor. Wherever they were now, Ophelia hoped she was living in a way that would make them proud, especially since, a few years ago, she had found her destined mate. As she neared her house, she spotted the very man waiting on the front porch, and a tender smile touched her lips. Her wolf, Orla, hummed with contentment. Our mate is here. It was Adrian Yoder, son of Alpha Brian and future Alpha of the Silver Arrow Pack. Ophelia, he greeted her, his smile warm and familiar. He rose and drew her close as she stepped up to him, his lips meeting hers in a gentle K1SS. Ophelia sighed softly, eyelids fluttering shut as she returned the K1SS, breathing in the familiar, calming scent of her mate. Adrian, I thought you were busy with traffic tonight. I am, he admitted, with sheepishness in his smile. I found a moment to bring it. He handed her a small box, opening it to reveal an elegant pendant, its pendant a heart pierced by a slender arrow. Ophelia stared at the jewelry, her eyes wide. Wow, Adrian, you really didn't have to do this. Nonsense, Adrian chuckled, taking the necklace from the box and fastening it tightly around her neck. It's the least I can do for my mate, and the future Luna of the Silver Arrow Pack. Ophelia looked down at the exquisite jewelry, now resting against her skin, a soft smile lingering on her lips. It was both a keepsake and a promise of the future they would share. Father and Beta Kenneth both mentioned how well you're adapting to your Luna responsibilities, and that your combat skills keep improving, Adrian said, giving her hand an encouraging squeeze. I'm really proud of you. Thank you, Adrian, for the necklace, and for saying that, Ophelia replied with a light laugh. Anything for you. Listen, I should get going now, but I'll see you tomorrow at the Olive Branch Festival, right? Without a doubt. Adrian drew her into a warm embrace, then leaned close to whisper in her ear. I can't wait to officially mark you as mine and claim you as my Luna. A shiver ran through Ophelia. Though they were fated mates and had been intimate before, they had chosen to wait for the marking ceremony until after their official mating and her inauguration as Luna. Even now, living under the same roof, they still slept in separate bedrooms. But when the ceremonies finally arrived, she knew the wait would be worth it. Alright, see you tomorrow, Adrian. See you then. He KISS at her cheek, flashed her one last grin, then turned and walked away. Ophelia remembered it as if it were yesterday. 2 years ago, she had gone to her favorite spot in the pack garden to tend to the flowers when a scent of driftwood filled the air, and moments later, Adrian appeared. At first, she was puzzled, never having seen him there before. But the moment their eyes met, his flickering from green to a deep amber while her wolf, Orla, stirred in recognition, everything fell into place. After that, things moved quickly. Despite her own doubts that an Alpha son would ever want an Omega, Adrian welcomed her without hesitation. It had taken all his restraint, or more accurately, his wolf power, not to claim her right then and there. Soon after, she was formally introduced to the Silver Arrow Pack, Alpha Brian and Beta Kenneth as Adrian's fated mate. Alpha Brian, who had lost his own wife, the former Luna, in the same rogue attack that took Ophelia's parents, gave his blessing, though he voiced concern over her Omega status. She had no experience handling pack affairs, nor could she defend herself toward the pack in battle. And so, Ophelia's training to become Luna began. Looking back, even Ophelia was surprised by how much she had accomplished in just 2 years. When Adrian first announced her as his mate, many in the pack were skeptical that someone as gentle and fragile as her could ever become a strong Luna. Even now, some pack members likely still believed she was merely fortunate to be fated to the future Alpha. But word of her promising progress in Luna training had spread so widely that several wolves had even slipped up and addressed her as Luna already. Ever humble, Ophelia would simply laugh and gently remind them that the title wasn't hers just yet. After a warm shower and a satisfying dinner, Ophelia settled into bed, hoping to rest well before the busy day ahead overseeing preparations for the Olive Branch Festival. She had to admit, the significance of the event made her nervous, but she had prepared thoroughly and felt more than ready. Just breathe in, breathe out. Think happy thoughts and sleep, Orla reassured her softly in her mind. You'll do fine. Thanks, Orla, Ophelia replied silently, a smile gracing her lips as she drifted into a peaceful sleep. The next morning, Ophelia woke bright and early. Adrian had already left for his Alpha training. She was finishing breakfast when a knock came at the door. Rising to answer, she smiled even before opening it. She'd been expecting this visit. It had become a regular routine for her companion to accompany her around the pack. Oh, Kayla. Good morning, Ophelia greeted warmly as she opened the door. The auburn-haired girl offered a respectful nod. Happy Olive Branch Festival, Ophelia. I wanted to thank you for everything you've done to make me feel welcome back in Silver Arrow. Though Kayla had grown up in the pack, she'd left shortly after Ophelia began her Luna training to join her fated mate, Otto, in the Snow Fawn pack. He had seemed kind then, even coming personally to escort her. But last spring, Kayla had returned alone, broken and tearful, collapsing at Ophelia's doorstep. He rejected me was all she could manage between sobs. She never shared the details, but the pain was unmistakable. As future Luna, Ophelia had made it her duty to support Kayla's healing. Now, she smiled gently and squeezed her shoulders. You don't need to thank me. After all you've endured, you deserve to feel safe and happy again. You have such a good heart, Kayla said softly. You're going to be a wonderful Luna. Together, they walked toward the event's hub where that evening's festival would take place, a celebration of the historic peace accord among the packs of the Evergreen Wilds. Ophelia had overseen the planning of decorations, music, and food herself. Good luck with the final preparations, Kayla said, giving Ophelia's shoulder an encouraging pat before turning to help unbox the decorations. Just after Kayla stepped away, Ophelia found herself enveloped in a familiar, warm group hug, this time from Beta Kenneth's wife, Sadie, and their 2 children, Sky and Cyrus. Though the embrace was sudden, Ophelia had grown accustomed to their affectionate spontaneity. Sky, only slightly younger than Ophelia, was being groomed to succeed her father as Beta once Adrian and Ophelia assumed leadership. When Ophelia first began working with her as part of her Luna training, she hadn't anticipated how quickly they would bond. Reserved by nature, Sky preferred quiet companionship to large gatherings, yet she was fiercely dedicated, strong-willed, and never once judged Ophelia for being an Omega. Their friendship grew steadily, often strengthened by peaceful runs together, during which their wolves, Savannah and Orla, also formed a close bond. Though Sky had long since mastered her shift, it was rare to see her lose control to Savannah, and rarer still to witness her in true combat. Having been trained privately by Beta Kenneth since childhood, Sky moved with a quiet confidence that hinted at formidable skill, enough to make Ophelia quietly grateful she'd never have to face her future Beta in a real fight. Sky stepped back, adjusting her glasses with a cheerful expression. The last of the supplies you requested just got here, Ophelia. She handed over a clipboard detailing the items Ophelia had ordered the previous morning. Ophelia responded with an affectionate eye roll. Thanks, Sky. Kayla's already working on the flower garlands, and Harris is handling the balloons. She glanced up briefly, confirming the balloons matched her chosen color scheme before giving a satisfied nod. Turning to Sky's younger brother, she asked Cyrus, "Were you able to fix the audio system connection yesterday?" Cyrus nodded. "It's all set. I'll stick around in case anything comes up." Though Beta Kenneth openly admired Sky's dedication, his relationship with Cyrus was more strained. Cyrus had recently returned to the pack after an internship at a tech company, a choice his father struggled to understand. Unlike Sky, Cyrus showed little interest in patrols or combat training, spending most of his time in front of a computer. The Olive Branch Festival was one of the rare events that could draw him out of his room and into the world his father wished he'd embrace. "Can't wait to get back to my computer," Cyrus whispered to his sister with a mischievous smirk. "I was in the middle of something important." Sky let out an amused sigh and nudged him lightly. Even if he did spill coffee on your favorite shirt on purpose, that's no excuse to plant a virus in his laptop. It was a shame Beta Kenneth didn't recognize his son's talents, because to Ophelia, it sounded like Cyrus was far more skilled than he let on. Then there was Sadie, Sky, and Cyrus's mother. After Ophelia lost her parents, Sadie had stepped in like a second mother, offering comfort, guidance, and always a listening ear when Ophelia needed one. The older woman smiled warmly at Ophelia now. "The colors you picked for the festival are lovely. The soft pink and off-white balloons stand out beautifully against the walls." "I thought it was better than drowning everything in shades of olive green," Ophelia replied with a light laugh. Sadie's expression softened nostalgically. "That soft pink, it was your mother's favorite color, you know." She had known Ophelia's parents well. "If they could see you now." "They can," Ophelia said softly, her smile tinged with both sadness and warmth. "I'm sure they're watching." Ophelia often found herself wondering what her parents would think if they could see her now. Would they have ever imagined their Omega daughter destined for the future Alpha, training to lead the pack as Luna, learning not just to care for her people, but to fight for them, to stand her ground and unite a community? Though her parents had never asked anything grand of her, a quiet voice inside always whispered that she could and should do more to honor their memory. Once the decorations were up, colorful balloons and streamers hung with the help of Kayla and other pack members, Ophelia moved through the venue with quiet purpose. She checked in on the kitchen, ensuring each dish was prepared perfectly and on schedule. She helped Sky and Sadie arrange tables and chairs, then stopped by where Cyrus was stationed to confirm the music cues were ready. For 2 months, she had poured herself into planning this festival. Though the preparations were now complete, the real test was just beginning. This was the first major event she had organized as part of her Luna training, and it carried the weight of expectation. And soon, it would be more than just a festival. With Alpha Brian set to step down in a few months, leadership would pass to Adrian and to her. Their mating and Luna ceremonies were just around the corner. "Stay calm," Orla's voice gently echoed in her mind, just as Sky and her mother approached. "Everything's pretty much set, Ophelia," Sky announced, her eyes sweeping proudly across the decorated hall. "The place looks amazing, if I say so myself." Ophelia paused to take it all in. The venue was vibrant with color, music flowed smoothly from the speakers, and the rich aroma of rosemary chicken and seasoned vegetables drifted from the kitchen, promising a feast to come. Sky's eyes glinted briefly with a golden hue before she laughed softly. "Sorry, Savannah and I have a weakness for Mom's rosemary chicken. She's the one who turned me into such a food lover." Sadie nudged her daughter playfully, and Ophelia smiled along with them. "Chicken." Orla echoed approvingly in Ophelia's mind. "Behave, Orla," Ophelia teased back inwardly. Sky straightened up, her tone shifting to gentle insistence. "Seriously though, we're way ahead of schedule thanks to you. Why don't you go find Adrian? I heard he just wrapped up his training. Take a break. The festival doesn't start for another 2 hours." Ophelia looked between them touched. "Are you sure?" Sadie nodded warmly. "Absolutely." We'll handle anything that comes up. You've been working nonstop. You deserve some time with your mate. Convinced, Ophelia hugged them both. Thank you. I'll be back half an hour before it begins. See you then, Sky replied with a wave. With a grateful smile, Ophelia turned and headed out, already looking forward to seeing Adrian. As Ophelia made her way along the familiar path toward the home she shared with Adrian, her heart was light with happiness and anticipation. It felt like ages since they'd had real time alone ever since she'd been tasked with organizing this year's Olive Branch Festival. Her days had been consumed by preparations, leaving little space for just the two of them. She smiled to herself, hoping her early return would be a welcome surprise. But as she drew nearer to the house, a low growl rumbled in her mind. Orla's voice was tense. Wait, something's wrong. Ophelia slowed her steps. What do you mean? There's another scent here. Quietly, Ophelia approached the front porch. The moment she pushed the door open, the air inside confirmed Orla's warning. The familiar scent of driftwood now mingled with the sweet, unmistakable fragrance of green apples. Kayla must have come by after helping with the decorations. She and Adrian had been close before she left for the Snow Fong Pack, and he'd been just as heartbroken as Ophelia when Kayla returned, rejected by her mate. Maybe he was simply comforting her. But Orla remained uneasy. Ophelia, you might not want to go further. Ophelia knew exactly what her wolf meant. Still, she shook her head stubbornly and continued forward, Orla reluctantly falling silent as she climbed the stairs toward Adrian's bedroom. Even before she reached the door, the sounds reached her, the rhythmic creak of the bed, soft moans, ragged breaths. Her pulse quickened, each step forward tightening the knot in her chest. When she finally pushed the door open, the sight before her shattered her heart completely.